Hi, so today we are discussing how can education leaders, whether it's a dean, whether it's a professor, whether it is a teacher, whether it's an instructor or a coach, how can you build a voice that's unique and customized to the digital landscape, to the digital environment and ecosystem where your students are. Now, why is that important? There are a couple of reasons. The students, the learners, the learning community today, they inhabit an environment which is very different from the one when we were students. So they have a culture, they have signs, they have symbols, they have signals, they have passwords, they have metaphors, they have allegories, etc. They have little rituals and stuff that people from a different generation, and certainly leaders who are distanced from them with through a couple of years, through some years, through a time gap, will not find easy to bridge unless you've taken some very proactive steps to do that. Now, how can you do that? How can you bridge the traditional gap that exists, that always and naturally organically exists between the mentor and the mentee, but which is a little more pronounced in today's digital age, because your students, for two reasons. Number one, your students don't like the new generation, whether it is the Gen Z, whether it's Gen Y, whether it's millennials. They hate layers, they hate boundaries, they hate walls, and they really want to keep it real. They want to connect one-on-one, and they want to connect without sophistry, and they want to connect without curtains, and they want it straight and direct. And now that's how they connect with themselves on social media, on online platforms. But how do they connect? How do you as an education leader do that? I mean, how do they connect with you? Because that traditional distance, the traditional deterrence, that emotional gap will always be there between a leader, between a teacher and a student. Now, there are a couple of things that you as an education leader can do in order to bridge that gap. Number one, be a part of the communities they are in, your students are in, which means that, go ahead and immerse yourself, explore and discover the online communities, the social media platforms that they live in, where they hang out, where they connect with each other, where they converse, where they have conversations. And that is where you get to figure out, their dreams, their goals, their aspirations, their peeves, what they're happy about, what they're not. And it's not necessary for you to be very actively participating in all of that action. If you can do that incognito on certain social media platforms like Reddit, where you do not need to disclose your name, your identity, or your purpose. You can just sit back, you can just be, you can just immerse yourself, and you can just see what's happening. You can be a part of the furniture, you can be a part of the wallpaper if you want, but the idea is to decode the lingo, to decipher, to crack the jigsaw, the riddle of the new digital learner in their environment, in their home, where they live, in their own destination, inside their own hub. So you get a very authentic, behind the scene, insider, a very granular, a very, very detailed, and most importantly, a very authentic, straight from the horse's mouth kind of an insight into the universe of your students. So be a part of their communities. That's number one. The other thing that you could do is reverse mentoring. Now, reverse mentoring is a fantastic process where the education paradigm, where the framework becomes two-dimensional. I mean, it's not just one way anymore, because when it comes to reverse mentoring, you have to invite your learners to actually step forward and be a part of, design that environment by themselves. So all you have to do is tell them, okay, so what is it that you do not like? Go ahead and correct it yourself. You think you can design a better classroom, go ahead, do it. So this reverse mentoring is where we learn from the learner, which means that obviously your as a leader, as a professor, your experience and your expertise in the foundational pillars of knowledge will always be there, and that's going to be the bedrock, that's going to be the foundation upon which you now create a new universe of learning by actually and actively, proactively soliciting the opinion, the views of your learners. What do they want to learn? What do they want to what is it that they don't want to learn? How do they want to learn what they want to learn? What are the changes that they want to see in the education system? How would they design their learning universe? Go ahead. Tell them. Make them an active architect of that universe that you. And now what you have now is a classroom, or whether it's online or offline, that is really a mix of the best of both worlds, because both the parties, the gap has now been bridged, because both the parties now have what they want. You're teaching the way they want to learn. So, and reverse mentoring is teaches you the leader plenty, and it's not just a macroscopic view of their mindsets and of their goals and their aspirations. It's also an insight into the kind of technologies that they use today, the kind of digital platforms, the kind of digital habits that they have, and the actions that they indulge in, and all of that. So reverse mentoring, go for reverse mentoring, try a little bit of that. You don't have to go whole hog. You can deploy the technique in stages, in modules. But the idea is to co-create, co-design the environment with your students, with the stakeholders, so that you now have now have a perfectly aligned platform to really and which amplifies your education goals, which massively. So, and this is also how you build a personality. But that is extremely approachable, that is extremely friendly, because now they know that you are interested in teaching the way they want to learn. So the confidence, the levels of trust, the levels of confidence are high. You are connecting way better than you used to, perhaps, and you automatically have a voice which resonates, which they can relate to far more clearly. So as an education leader, these are the two things that you could do. Reach out to them, be a part of their communities, and the reverse, invite them back into the classroom and make them the co-creators, the co-designers of your pedagogical, of your curricular framework.